This week's Be Mighty vlog, I go back to Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown, where I'm telling a little story about first house I ever lived in and a wild journey I took as a 3-year-old walking off on my own. Look at all these people behind with their slow walking methods. There you go. Look at that. Oh, that's good. That's it, baby. We made it. So this really was a kind of a thrown together last minute trip right before Labor Day, but you know, whatever, you gotta see your family before the summer escapes, and no better time to travel but then right before the holidays with these ladies. Oh, the many pleasures of being back in Cleveland, like visiting Taco Bell and discovering a strange animal in your food. And if you guessed a slothadilla, you were correct, and you get a free Annie GIF that's downloadable in the video description. Oh, here, let's do a slow. Another pleasure of the Midwest, driving with windows wide open on the freeway. Something these girls don't often get to experience, which we took full advantage of. Also visiting Grandma. And here I tell you a pretty interesting story of when I was little and wandered off at the age of 3.
We're rolling.
How's that? Better?
Wait, is this thing even on?
Drill a hole. Oh my God, there's a person who's a dog in that car right next to us. Don't look, everybody. Human dog.
Oh, look at the doggy.
Two or three. 3 years old, I think. I lived in this house with Grandma Lise and Grandpa Terry. And then one day,
You walked to Grandma's house.
I walked all the way from that house where we were just at,
Oh my God.
all the way from this house to Grandma's house. Now, I was 3 years old, and I knew how to walk all that way. And I figured out how to walk to Grandma's house.
Turn left
And I
onto
knocked
Lake
on the
Avenue.
door, and Nell came in and she was like, "What are you doing here?"
And that's where Dad went to daycare. Drove your tricycle over here.
We lived in
We
this.
come across this bridge. And we lived right here.
Yeah, we lived in the house right here, guys. See, there was a falls right here, waterfall. Yeah, so this was my childhood home. I guess everyone's got one. And this was the little bridge I crossed on one fateful morning. Instead of going home, though, I had left this, what was a daycare center, and decided to walk all the way to my grandma's house. So, you know, it's kind of like no one knows why I did it. And even when I was little, I didn't even know if it was really true. I'd heard the story of me walking from this house to my grandma's. And after that day, really, that's kind of what changed my life, how I went from living with my mom and dad's to living at my grandparents'. And this was the actual path. So this is actually the direction that I walked at the age of 3, which is, of course, kind of scary, and some sort of indication of, you know, what was going on in my life at the time, that I could have walked this far by myself. You know, and look, I don't blame my parents or, you know, look back with any sort of like finger pointing. They were living their lives to the best that they could at the time, and I'm just lucky that nothing bad happened to me. But in some respects, you know, this was something that I was always ashamed of, kind of as a story in my life. And I think the reason I'm sharing this is because I think the stories that we tell ourselves are really important. And it's taken me a long time to understand that the story of what would have been sort of a shameful experience, you know, this sort of, I guess, you know, abandonment in some respects, like kind of being left to my own devices, that I could have walked this far, could be something that would, could shame someone or make you feel bad. But when I thought about it now, looking back, I think, that was an incredibly powerful and strong thing I did. And whether or not I knew it at the time, I was really changing the course and destiny of my life. And when I accept that as my story is so much stronger. So I encourage you to think about your stories in more empowering ways. And now being a father myself, it's one of these sort of experiences that it's incredible to know that you can sort of influence and shape and inspire, these young people who, you can sort of embolden and bolster their vision of themselves, and it's an awesome responsibility, and one that
Lou's gotta get off. All right.
I love and cherish, and it's also helped me a lot
nice job, Lou.
growing. Like you have to get over your own shit in order to be a parent to someone, and so it's all. I guess this is all just like part of a big, heavy, reflective visit to Cleveland, but this is kind of like, these are more like what the real thoughts and feelings are for me as a father, balancing this gig, being an entrepreneur, and and trying to find some semblance of
All right, keep turning.
a balanced life that's good for my girls and for myself, and maybe just a little bit entertaining along the way. I'm not sure, but at least in some respects it might just be a good documentation for myself to remember, and to be proud of, like, all the things that have happened in my life and as far as I've come. Pretty lucky. Anyway, thanks for following. If you like, please like and comment.